What's up, everybody? It's your boy T. Roy. I am your host for Beauty and Beard, and I'm here with my other host,
Chaka.
Yeah.
I don't have a fancy name.
We got to get you a slogan. Like, I can't be your boy T. Roy and you just be Chaka. Like, you have to be.
Yeah. But my name itself is unique. How many
That's
Chakas
true.
do you know, right?
Just you, one.
Exactly.
That is true.
See?
That is true. Not sure if y'all realize this, but we are here with some special guests today, and we're in our living room. I actually kind of like the setup a little bit, and we're here with some special guests, the Lees.
Hi, guys.
Hey, welcome, guys. Thank you so much for coming on. There is a reason why they're on here today. We're going to go ahead and get started. So a lot of you all know with Beauty and Beard, Chaka and I are sharing about our life experiences and things that we go through and we talk about. And just to show this is that marriage works. And also not only that marriage works, but you have to be willing to make marriage works. And part of marriage, I was just speaking with someone the other day. They were saying how, man, I really just want to have a ring. And I'm like, I don't really know if you know what it means to have a ring, because it's more than just something that you have on your body. It's a life. Marriage is a lifestyle. And this is something that we end up living it out. Not just for photos for Facebook or for Instagram. But this is a lifelong commitment that I made. I often think back. I'm like, man, I made a commitment in front of a whole bunch of people and God to be committed to this to this marriage. And so we brought on the Lees today to share about their story and about their journey and their marriage. Mainly about because they are adoptive parents. Is that what you call?
Yeah.
Is that what you works?
Yeah.
Is that the title? Okay, because I tried to research it, and my research was literally like 3 Google searches.
I think it is adoptive parents.
Adoptive parents. And so we're going to talk to them today about exactly, how they got into that and things of that nature. So we didn't really get y'all's names. So if y'all wouldn't mind sharing, who are you all?
Yes. So I'm Judson Lee. I'm glad I have a beard for this podcast.
Yeah, this works out really well.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good. And this is Megan.
Megan.
Thank you, guys. Where are you guys from?
Yeah. Well, we live here in Lynchburg. She's originally from Madison Heights, which is real close by. And I was born in San Diego, California, and I grew up in Tacoma, Washington.
What the heck made you come to Lynchburg, Virginia?
Liberty University.
There you go.
That's
Ding,
true.
ding, ding.
Yeah.
What did you? What program did you come for?
I studied music.
Okay.
Yeah. So I was checking out a bunch of schools. Someone was on the board at Liberty in my area of the country and said, I'll fly him out if he just checks it out.
Wow.
So I said, oh, okay. I was looking at schools. I was like, I'll fly out just to look at it. So.
And then he got full scholarship. So
Okay.
there was a good motivation there.
Oh, yeah.
Because we met on Sounds of Liberty at Liberty. So
Oh, for real?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
That's the
That's how
reason.
we
You know
met.
what? I just thought you just sang just because, that's one of the things you do. I didn't know that you actually performed.
yeah,
Yeah. So she sang on the group.
in a suit,
I played.
bad suit.
Yeah. So I played piano on the group. And
Yeah.
so that's how we met.
So how'd you guys meet?
Yeah.
We met there. I was engaged to somebody else.
Oh,
Well,
did
actually,
just
the
tell me that.
first time we met
Wait,
was...
whoa. You were engaged to someone else?
Yeah.
Chaka was engaged to someone else, too.
Wait a minute.
Chaka.
I was engaged to someone else before I met Troy. I broke off my engagement in January. Troy started school in September.
Okay, so it was a long
Or
gap.
August.
All right. Well,
Yep.
still, you were engaged before me.
Trying to.
So you were trying to get your ring before spring, huh?
Yeah. It was a weird... Anyway. But
So when I met her, she was engaged.
we met at Thomas Road because I was recording the
Justin, you
song
sneaky
for...
sly.
We were really... we were friends.
Yeah,
and
we
then
had
I
to
was
be
like,
friends first,
I
which
don't
was
think
good.
so.
Which was good.
He's husband material.
And we were honestly friends.
Yeah, we were.
Because
Yeah.
she was engaged.
And we met recording a song for the... Because it was when they still had the Living Christmas Tree at Thomas Road.
Oh, okay.
And I was Mary. And so I came in and he was sitting in the studio. And we actually had zero impact on each other. At that point, we met and I
That's true.
didn't think of it again. honestly, either way. And then
She wasn't on the group
I
yet.
wasn't on the group yet. I was going to Liberty, but my freshman year, and then I did try out for Sounds and didn't get it. They called me back in December over break and said, well, somebody's stepping off the team. Do you want to join? And of course I was like, yeah. Terrified because I was like super homebody and never left my parents hardly ever. And
Furthest she'd traveled was Lynchburg.
Roanoke. Correction.
Which is like 45 minutes away, guys.
Right.
Yeah.
If-
Just
yeah.
for
It's
context.
not that far.
Yeah. So then he actually flew into a friend's house to get back, like to go on tour with the group. I came down with the whole group from Lynchburg to, I guess you were in North Carolina with John.
Yeah, Georgia.
In Georgia. That's where he was. Okay. So Georgia. I didn't connect or remember that he was on the group. And so then that's where we actually like met up again and we're like, oh my goodness. And connected the dots. And
I bet you Justin was like, yeah, how you doing? It's like, yeah, who are you?
have we met?
Have we met before? Yeah, I used to, do play background music for you. Oh, okay.
I don't know. But yeah, we became friends and
Yeah, I mean, lots of driving, so there's lots of time to talk and
yeah.
all that
So
stuff.
that's how we-
and so
And I guess we were dating like that was in December and then we started dating in February. So
she broke it off.
I did break it off.
I don't think it was because of me.
No.
It was mixed.
It was all sorts of stuff going on, but
So, but her mom was kind of predicted it apparently.
yep.
So we were just hanging out and she's like, I need to stop home for something. And apparently her mom, right after meeting me, was like, I think you might be the one.
Oh, wow.
So she was right.
She was right. Yeah.
So moms are always right. Let me tell you why. First and foremost, my grandmother, I'm still mad at her to this day. I love her, but I'm mad at my grandma to this day because when I started dating Chaka,
Not literally mad, Grandma.
yeah, not mad, but you know what I'm saying. Like, I'm upset.
He's more like,
I've
what?
told you that I'm upset about this. She told me after I broke up with one of my girlfriends, she was like, yeah, I knew she wanted the one. So you just weren't going to tell me at all? Like, you just going to let me be in a relationship,
let you make
potentially
your
get
decisions.
married? And she was like, yeah, she wanted the one. I just, I didn't like her, Troy. You could have told me something. So that was one thing. And then the other thing was,
My mom. Troy came up to visit. We did ministry in high school or college, and they came up for something. And Troy and another friend of mine came up. I think that was to see Jamal Bryant, and that was my mom had met him before, kind of ish, just as one of the people at school type deal. But this time she actually got to meet him, and somewhere right after the trip, she said, "That's gonna be my son-in-law."
yeah.
Now
That's funny.
yes,
And
and
what-
we weren't like you. I wasn't
Yeah.
looking at him like that at all. I was like, "What?"
Well,
That's funny.
everyone around Chaka was looking at me like that.
They
She was
were.
they was like, Chaka, you need to go ahead and snatch him up.
Which the funny
Because
part
I
is,
am a prize. I am
It's understandable.
very understandable.
Those eyes.
there's
I am a gift.
there's a whole other story about that one when he says that, and I'm thinking 2006 when God showed me that you were not it.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. So we dated once. We dated for like 2 months and Chaka called it off.
Yeah, exactly.
And then we came
Whoopsie.
back around and
A year later,
I actually called her while she was on the date.
Oh wow.
Because we were still friends. I called her while she
I
was on
wasn't
the
on
date.
it. Okay.
Oh, okay.
She said she wanted a date.
I wasn't on a
She was
date.
at someone's house
Yes.
Okay.
watching a movie.
Yes.
Okay.
That's a date.
That is not
and
a
y'all
date.
had food either before or after.
The food is sitting in the kitchen. Does that mean we're all on a date
That's
right
a
now?
date. Yes, we
We're on a
we
coffee
scheduled
date.
something.
This
We're-
counts as a double date.
This is a
There you
double
go.
date. Exactly.
You're not helping.
sorry. I just
Exactly.
I was
Right.
like a realization that it's a date.
Anyway,
Anyway,
so
you guys.
So you said you guys had been dating for a little while, and then
Yeah. I don't know. When did we get engaged? A year later? Mm-hmm. We got engaged a year later and then got married. We were
6
engaged for
months
6
later.
months and then got married. So we've been married for almost
That's short
19 years.
engagement.
oh my
Wait, how
goodness.
long?
19 years in August.
How old are
Can
y'all?
you believe?
I gotta say, I'm just,
24.
y'all don't look like y'all should be married for 19 years.
Judson
I
turns
turned
40,
40 this year.
And I turned 39 next week.
I'm
That's crazy. She
older
just
than
turned
both of
40.
you.
Really?
Yes.
I thought you were younger.
go.
No, I'm younger.
Everybody always thinks that. He's actually younger.
That's funny.
No,
I just turned 36. You see the
Yeah,
balloons
so
in the
it's
corner.
36.
I turned 40 on January 31st.
Aw.
Nice.
So, yeah.
Happy birthday.
Oh, 19 years.
Yeah.
Wow, that's
That's
amazing.
crazy.
Yeah.
I love that.
So
So
next year's a big 2-0.
next year's the big 2-0. Any
Yeah.
big plans for the big 2-0?
Actually, there'll be like a second Italy trip, because the Italy trip you talked about is the one that's like further out. But
Yeah, a
we
little
planned
further out.
another Italy trip first before the in-laws were planning theirs with his brother and his wife, because it'll be their 15-year. So we all want to go to Italy together, and that'll be like a lower key trip. Like
Okay.
nothing really like the Mediterranean cruise, everything's very like tour based, and
Yeah.
you're there to purposely see places and a lot more like scheduled. So this one's supposed to be laid back and
Kind of more stay inside the country.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
yeah.
Oh, wow. You have
rural.
to tell us more
That's
about
pretty
that.
So
cool.
those are the plans. We tried to do it at our 10-year, and that didn't work out. So
What you got? Our 10 years coming up this
This year.
October.
okay,
So what'd you guys do for your 10 year?
we went to New York City, but it didn't work. We ended up, my brother-in-law and sister-in-law, they have a little girl, and at the time, I guess she was probably 2. I think she was 2, and I don't think they were ready to leave her yet. But the plan was like, we're gonna go as adults for our anniversary and go to New York. And first we're gonna go to Italy, and they're like, I don't think that'll work out. Let's do New York City. And I was like, fine. And the stress level had been pretty high, so I was really looking forward to going and kind of getting away. And then they decided to bring their 2-year-old, and I was like, oh no. And then they decided to bring my mother-in-law
Oh no!
to watch the 2-year-old.
No!
And then I was like,
So I was like, okay, that's fine. You know, my mom will be there. My mom's super nice, and she's gonna stay with them.
but
and
then she
have
says,
a
I'll
kid."
stay out of your way,
And
so
I
you
was
don't
like,
even
"That's
have
cool,
to see.
Mom."
And I'm like, no, that
Oh,
is terrible to be
yeah.
like,
So here's Megan's solution.
we even out the playing field, and we bring a child.
Well, we should bring a child. That makes it good.
Because to me, I go, well, then it's even, and she doesn't feel bad, and they don't feel bad for bringing
Well,
her.
the
and
kids
then,
can play together.
yes.
Okay. I mean, okay.
Yeah.
Well,
The
grandma
only bad
watched.
help
time
out.
I'm
is that
trying to make
Okay.
it work.
It doesn't work.
the only bad thing was that half of the time mother-in-law was in our room.
Oh.
It just so we're
I was like, my mom can stay with my brother. That's cool. I like my mom. I get to
should've-
see my mom.
Now I
She's
would
not
leave-
in my room, and I don't have a kid with me.
now I
was
would
like,
just leave all the kids and be like, sorry, this is what we did the next time. We were like, the next trip we said, if you bring your kids or whatever, totally fine, up to you. We are not. So, and that's our final decision. And anything that's not kids friendly, like, we'll just do it separate.
Right.
So
Yeah.
that's what I learned from that
That's
experience.
good.
Not to even the playing field and bring a child.
Yeah,
So kids,
kids.
Sorry.
talking about
I'm not crying. I'm just really congested.
kids, talking about kids.
Yeah.
So you brought a kid on this trip. You guys are adoptive parents now? Was
Yes.
this your biological child that you brought with you?
No, we don't have any
We
biological
have zero
children.
biological
Zero.
kids.
Zero.
Yeah. So
How many kids do you have in all?
6.
We have 6.
Did you forget? 6.
No, I was gonna say we have 5 at home.
He took such a long pause.
Yeah, we have 5 at home, but 6 total.
6 adopted kids.
Yes.
Wow, that's amazing. First of all, I wish I had like one of those soundboards where I can like clap. You know, people are clapping. 6 adopted kids. What? So what led you guys? So I got 2 questions. What led you guys into adoption, and why so many kids?
And I want to know how many bathrooms you have. That's my first thought.
All right,
So
so
far,
let-
it's working.
It is.
Let's
far
go.
it's
Let's go with the bathroom question, and then we'll go
question.
into the deep
can't-
ones. How many bathrooms?
We
do you-
have 3.5 bathrooms.
Okay.
Okay. But Shadrach and Platini share our old master. The big bedroom with the big bathroom is 2 sinks, a shower, and a tub. So that takes care of them. Thaxton has his own room, and Ashlyn and Raylan share a room. Raylan doesn't need a bathroom yet because she still refuses to be potty trained. So that's a non-issue right now.
Right.
We're just gonna keep her in diapers as long as possible.
Right.
So Ashlyn and Thaxton take turns with that bathroom. Then we have a main floor half bath, like just a sink and a toilet.
Yeah.
Then we took the basement, and then we have our own full bathroom.
Oh my
Ooh, I
gosh.
like that idea.
Yeah,
Taking
yeah.
the whole basement.
Yeah,
That's pretty
so we have
cool.
a
It's worked out
floor.
really
We have a
well.
whole floor.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was just wondering
So-
because
I think I predict there being a problem when Ashlyn starts to actually get ready in the morning, but we're not there yet. And she takes the bathroom. I think we're going to have a problem.
You think she might
You're
come down to use
predicting it.
yours?
I think my prediction is we're going to have to swap rooms. That we're going to have to give Shadrach and Platini her old room, and the boys are all going to have to share, and that the girls will have to share the bigger bathroom, so that there's no problem with like waiting for each other.
Okay.
So, but I don't know.
And I just think families of 6 would sometimes have one bathroom.
That's
And they figured it out.
No, we're a family of 2, and we have
3.5 bathrooms.
3.5 bathrooms,
3.5.
and we
Yeah.
need every last one of them.
Need-
Every last one of
we
them.
do.
That's hilarious.
One room is for
No.
Okay, I shower in our main bathroom.
And he
I
does
shower, I brush my teeth,
everything else in all the other ones.
and I do everything else in
That's
the rest
so
of them.
funny.
Literally.
Yeah.
I just use our bathroom, but he does everything else in every single, he does a different thing
In
That's
a different
Literally.
bathroom.
Well, and it's
in
all
each
there that you
bathroom.
need, and you go to that room. Yeah, I guess.
One room's to do my business,
It just me.
specifically for me.
But you could leave it there.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And
Do yours.
I know how much toilet tissue is on the roll, you know what I'm saying? Because I'm the only one
You don't want
using
to run out.
And one bathroom is used for me just to cut my hair.
Yeah. It just means you have to constantly clean all 4
the bathrooms.
bathrooms.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
exactly. So the reason why I asked that is in college, at one point I lived in a house that had 11 girls.
Oh, man.
And we had 2 bathrooms.
Ooh.
And that was it. And so 6 of us were assigned. It was just a regular house that
Really?
well, it was a really big house, but
Yeah.
a regular house, and 2 large refrigerators, and
Yeah.
But just 2 bathrooms.
yes.
Wow.
And so 6 of us were in one, and 5 of us had the other. And I mean, one of them only had a stand-up shower,
Wow.
and the other one I think was like a tub. And it worked. Our schedules
Just have to do a
worked out
schedule.
perfectly.
Yeah.
We never had an issue. But again, that was 11 grown
Yeah.
women
Yeah.
figuring it out. I'm like, how do you do that with, and it's all women.
Right.
So that's why I was like, how do you do that when you have the adults and then the kids
Yeah.
and then different genders? And it's like,
Yep.
Yeah.
so
It's not a
wow.
problem yet, but
Okay.
eventually I call that it will
We
be.
will keep you guys in prayer about
Yeah,
that.
thank you.
Because we
Keep you
know how
updated.
important a good bathroom is.
Yes,
Yeah,
you do.
Truly.
So what? Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say. So, can you tell us a bit about your family?
Well, we started because we got married really young. I was 20 and he was 21, and we were sort of that like couple that were like, well, we don't want to get pregnant right away, but if we were always kind of laid back about it. We were like, if it happened, we'd be okay with it, sort of thing. But I would say we really started trying to have a baby 2 years into our marriage. So, and when I say try, I don't mean like, oh, I hope it happens. I mean, I like got a book and I was taking my temperature. Like I thought, well, I'm not going to waste time. I'm going to figure this thing out. And so through that and like treatments and testing and stuff, we found out that both of us had issues. And so
Hey, you just fast forward through like 3 years.
I did because we
Yeah,
can't
that's
we can't
good.
stay here for 4 hours.
That's true.
But anyway, we found out that our options would pretty much be a really expensive procedure that would have, I think for one try, it would have been $20,000 to try one time. And at that point we were kind of like, I don't know, like, is this something that we take a risk on, or do we actually like use that money and maybe consider adoption? But I think neither one of us had still really moved on from letting that go, having a biological child, like actually saying, well, we're not going to do that. I think we both still wanted that for quite a while.
Yeah.
And we ended up going to a conference with some friends and went to it was like a 4th of July service at the end when the conference was over. And so both of us went in kind of like, we didn't really want to come necessarily. Everything was like patriotic songs at the beginning. So I wasn't really like, super engaged and everything. And the guy that was speaking, and I was also sort of tired of like applying everything to infertility and it always being an issue. And I was like, I just don't want to think about it. You know what I mean? And his talk that night was, what is God asking you to lay down on the altar? And it was like, it just hit me. And I was like, this is it. this is what we're supposed to do. And Judson, it was like, I mean, it was scary. It was so much on the same page where he was like, yeah, this is it. We waited around until the service was over because he had like a little altar on stage with fake flames, like air blowing it up. And we told our friends, we were like, literally, I mean, the Holy Spirit has spoken to both of us, and we know this is what we're supposed to do. We're going to lay it down. We're not going to pursue anything. We're not going to pursue, like, if God's saying, you may never have this, we need to be okay with that, whether we have kids through adoption or biological or none at all. And so we went on stage, and around the little fake altar thing, and we went out to eat and celebrated after, because like the Lord has spoken.
Right.
Yeah.
And it was years leading up to that too. So it was like, you know, a weight kind of was lifted too. And after that was when we started having like some people actually reach out to us about adoptions and stuff. We weren't going looking for it or anything like that. The first girl that we got connected with, we met with her one time, and a few weeks after that, she had a miscarriage. So we were like, well, this, you know, obviously it was a weird thing to process too, because it was an opportunity, but then just like that, it was over. And then we had somebody else email us about 2 little boys in foster care. And we were like, well, maybe this is it. And ended up going to another family who were already wanted to be foster parents, and they were in the system already and everything. And they went to them. And then the third opportunity, I was literally on the phone with my friend, and she's like, I was telling her about the foster boys not working out. And she's like, well, it's really interesting because I was talking with so-and-so, and she said she has a friend who's pregnant again, and she's really trying to tell her that adoption would be the best option for the baby. And I was like, well, I'm open, but these kind of things just don't happen very often, but I'm open to it. And I met her for the first time in the foyer at Blue Ridge, the atrium at Blue Ridge. And the coolest part about, this is Thaxton's story, the coolest part about his story is that, and it was just like a really huge confirmation for us that like God answered our prayers, but super, super specifically, because she was supposed to go into labor at like the end of June was her due date, kind of mid to late June. And she'd already had a baby before, so most likely be on time and everything. And Thaxton, like, she was not going into labor at all. She even like went to the doctor, and they were like, we'll do this thing and you'll probably go into labor. And that happened with her first child. Same thing. Didn't happen 2 times. And we were like, oh my word. And one of my friends was on the phone with me, and she's like, do you realize what date we're getting close to? And I was like, no. And she's like, it's close to the date that you and Judson, like, it's getting closer to July 2nd, the date that you guys like just said, we're going to lay this down. And I was like, oh my word, you're right. And so
did you turn into a ball of tears after you heard that?
Oh yeah. I kind of didn't believe it was going to happen really. So, yeah, he was born on July 2nd, a year to the date.
Oh, wow. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Exact day.
Oh, wow.
So let me back up real quick. So you both heard the Lord just speak to you guys saying, hey, you know, this is going to be the route that y'all going to do. I know sometimes it's first of all, it's difficult to hear the Lord's voice. So when you do hear it, you know, you hear it loud and clear. Yeah. And we do like to hear it because it does comfort us, because it was like, we're like, God, I'm trying to figure out what the heck is going on. But how did you receive it though? I know it seemed like, you know, you guys were willing to go to the altar, but sometimes going to the altar is not that easy.
Yeah.
So how did you guys, when you first received it, what was going through your minds?
Think, we happened to be at a conference, and then we were there for the weekend. So we were like, oh, let's check out a bunch of local churches we had heard about. It happened to be in California. There's a church called Saddleback with Rick Warren.
Oh.
So
it's a little church.
Yeah,
not that big.
So we checked out that one.
Conference just took on a whole other perspective.
Yeah. So we the conference was there, and that was actually the last service. It was a Sunday night service, but I think
it was like a Wednesday night service, wasn't it?
We
I don't know. Doesn't matter. No, it was Sunday night.
We did 2 services at different churches that morning, and I think we checked out one Saturday night, and they were all talking about different things, but they all resonated with what's that one thing you need to lay down. And by the time it came to that last service, it was like, Really?
It was one of the 3 times Judson's cried in his life. So
Wow.
Just say I've only-
if you ask how you received it, it was very, very, yeah.
It's
It was
all
tough.
good. I've cried twice this year, and I can always count how many times I cry. So yeah, I'm
Yeah.
with you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
It's
it's
been
like
more than
receiving
3
it
times
is-
for me.
Yeah. But,
My whole life.
but as far as receiving it, it was like really sad, but
It was, and it was kind of one of those like, I just kind of looked at her and she looked at me, and it was kind of like we both knew, like it's kind of being told multiple times you need to lay this down, and life had been focused on that for
more than 2 years. 3
I
years
mean,
probably.
we did procedures locally, then we were driving up to Charlottesville to go to a hospital. I mean, everything was and every 30 days you're finding out you're not pregnant. You're not pregnant. And then it hits for like
It's
after.
like hundreds of negative pregnancy tests, or that's what it feels like.
Yeah. And so by the time it was like, what's the one thing you need to lay down? You're like, well, we've been focused on one thing for 3 years.
Yeah. What's next? You know.
And so by the time you're told that multiple times that day, as you drive from location to location, it's like, I can think of one thing. How about you? I mean, it's almost like you
Yeah.
look into each other's eyes and it's like, yeah, this is the thing.
Yeah. So Thaxton is born.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is the
July
first child that
2nd.
you guys adopted.
Yeah.
Yeah. We brought him home, and like 3 days later, I was like, I want another one.
Oh my
Really?
Because we kind of fought over Thaxton.
Really?
Yes. Because I was like, look how cute he is. And he's like, I want to hold the baby.
Super unique. So, like in adoption world, that it's an independent adoption. You just work with the birth
Private
mom.
adoption.
Private adoption. You each get a lawyer, and then there's a guardian ad litem that's representing the child, and so you just navigate it between you. So, I mean, Megan was in the room when he was born. I was in the room when he was born
Okay.
at the birth mom's head, and then
Like, I was her birthing coach.
birthing
Okay.
coach.
We went to Lamaze together.
It's a little different.
It's different.
Megan cut the umbilical cord.
I did.
Wow,
Like,
you
we
were
were,
there
like,
for everything.
There,
Really?
there.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
And so
Justin, you were like, hey, y'all take care of that.
you do that.
Good job.
So that was Thaxton was like, did this happen? I mean, we knew the birth mom for months too. So I mean, it had been technically a long walking it out, but you're always with adoption going, is it going to work out? Is it not going to work out? Is it going to be change their minds? No parental rights are terminated. Things aren't signed. I mean, there's just a lot of like, I'm all in, but should I be all in? I mean, there's a lot of tensions in there as you walk it out. And so when we brought him home, in the state of Virginia, still you have to go through court stuff. But we were like, oh, this is like real,
Yeah.
in the sense of
It does feel surreal. It
Yeah.
does. But
So-
really scary too, because like you want to give your whole heart, but
Yeah.
it just like that somebody can change their mind and come and get them.
So
yeah,
how
like
many-
knock on the door.
In Virginia, how many days or months do they have afterwards before it's actually?
It is so unclear.
It's kind of shifted a little bit. You can technically do a parental right termination. You can schedule it as soon as possible, but usually it takes a few months to actually have that.
Well, and then with Raylan, our very last adoption, because we got actual adoption lawyers, like specifically that's what they do. They knew a lot more like details about the law and everything, and so they even told the birth mom, which is weird to just refer to her like that because like she's actually like we're still in touch with her a lot and everything. So, but we didn't know before that she could terminate her own rights to change her mind in that court date.
Because there's like a 3-day window even after court.
And
that
I
they
thought it was
can-
10.
well,
I don't know.
obviously
We
it
really don't
changes
know.
over
It's-
time.
Yeah.
But there's
But
a
she
window.
did that. So that court
Yeah.
date for her was actually like, it was done. So
Okay.
it was final that day.
Yeah, she went
So-
ahead and chose to do that.
Yeah.
So the court date was the court date.
Yeah.
Yeah, so let's see. Thaxton had just been born.
Uh-huh.
And then I saw an email that came through, said there was a girl who was looking to adopt. And it just kind of was a mass thing. And so I
A girl looking to adopt or be adopted.
adopt out her.
Okay,
Yeah,
gotcha.
she was
Okay.
pregnant. And so I just happened to contact Megan, and she basically said, yes.
He
And
said
I
it's
was
a
like,
girl.
it's a girl. Yes. And I was like, well, these kids are going to be really close
Yeah.
together.
I said, well, how far along is she? And he's like 6 or 7 months. And we have like
a newborn.
a newborn.
And which makes you new parents.
Yeah.
Like
Yes.
first time.
And we literally
everything.
met her the next day and had lunch. And her statement was, you guys just had a newborn. And because you want this so bad, like, I can tell you really, really want to be parents. And that, like, this is what I want, you know? And so just like that, 3 months later, Ashlyn was born.
Ashlyn was born.
So we had,
That's crazy.
2 babies, 3.5
a
months
3-month-old and a newborn.
Very,
like having
about,
Wow.
as, about as close to
Yeah, it
twins
was
as
a
you
lot.
can get.
And they acted a lot like twins too.
Are they able to go to school together?
We split them up in grades.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Their birthdays and everything worked out like that. So
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah.
So,
So, that's Thaxton Ashlyn.
And Thaxton, you said that his mother already had a child
Yes.
previous to him.
Yep.
Yeah.
So how is his relationship with his sibling, with his mom and stuff like that? Or is that something we can talk about?
Yeah. Totally fine.
Okay.
So the girl we met his birth mom through years later adopted his older.
Oh,
one.
okay.
So he
Yeah.
actually goes to church at Blue Ridge.
So they see each other. We do Halloween. Funny we bring that up. We trick or treat every year together. So we trick or treat.
Perfectly fine.
Just wanted to bring that up. It's funny
Yeah,
we talked
so-
about Halloween.
Yeah. So she'll bring him over, and I think we went through the mall or something
Yeah.
because it was raining.
And then Raylan's actually Thaxton's half sister, our littlest.
Oh,
Yeah, so the same
okay.
birth mom is
Yeah.
number 1.
Yep.
And then she reached out, I mean, like over a decade
Yep.
later and said, I'm pregnant again.
Yeah.
And right at about a decade. And so
Yes.
then Raylan's number 6 for us.
Which actually something I was praying for, by the way. Was
She just
Raylan.
didn't tell me.
I didn't
Really?
tell him. Really and truly. Yeah.
What was your
Great.
prayer?
Well, at this point, we had Ashlyn Thaxton, Shadrach and Platini, and Larissa. And pretty much, like, I felt like everybody came in pairs. Or that it was always a lot. Like, and I felt like I wasn't, because Ashlyn and Thaxton were so close together, like I couldn't feed them both at the same time or just have a lot of one-on-one. It's a
diapers
lot where you're
and
just
it's a
like
lot.
managing. And my mom was kind of like, gosh, I would love to have another grandbaby. And I was like, Mom, I would love another baby too, but it's just, and I wanted to, like, I know how, by that point I knew how fast it went by. And I'm like, if we ever have another baby, like I would just cherish as many moments as I could, because I know it goes by so fast, and like just not get so flustered by the difficult times, because I know it's just a season. Like, and I just would navigate it differently. And I was like, I just want another girl. And I told my mom, I was like, this stuff just doesn't happen like super easy.
Yeah.
And I can't, and we're not going to go out and pursue it. And I was like wanting to pray about embryo adoption too. And which is where you like
It is very-
adopt an embryo from in vitro, that it's already an embryo, and people like get pregnant and then they don't use those. You can actually
got you. Okay.
adopt those and be pregnant with an adopted child.
Yep.
And so I was like, Judson, I just want to pray about it. I think we said, let's pray about it for 2 years. And I was, but separately, because I felt like we had
y'all
some.
pray about something for 2 years.
Did it, I don't know if it did go a full 2 years. I think.
I didn't pray every day about it. I was a little more
But
opposed to
over
it.
the course of 2 years,
And the
y'all
time,
were praying.
the
I
time
got you.
thing was like, if I were to give birth, I'd want it to be around the time, no past 35. Like I just
Yeah,
wanna,
yeah.
I kind of made that marker for me. And so anyway, I felt like we had some differentiation from what we had heard with Thaxton's adoption, or like not his adoption, but stopping totally ever like birthing a child. And I was like, I didn't think it was like for forever. And he's like, I think it's for forever. And I'm like, I want to hear something individually. And like, so I'm going to pray about it and you pray about it separately. And so I was listening to a John Piper talk one day, which it was just like hit me dead on. And I was like, that's my answer. I just knew it was the things he said in it. I was like, I just felt confirmed 110%. Like it's a no.
Yeah.
And I went to him and I was like, it's a no. And I was settled about it. And then the next thing I prayed for, I was walking through Walmart alone. And I can like envision it. And I was like, God, I know this might be a selfish prayer, but I want to adopt another baby and I want it to be a girl. And, you know, it might just be a selfish thing to want to do this again, but that's what I'm asking for. And I got a text. I don't know how much longer it was from that moment, but
So
it was a while.
Shadrach and Platini came.
Oh, it must have been pretty close
And
then.
we were, for our anniversary, went to Roanoke. Is the first time in, I think, 2 years.
She didn't actually text us the first time on that trip.
That's when she had
That's
decided.
when she said yes
yeah.
and decided.
So we were sitting there, anniversary. I mean, we just like checked in the hotel and we're like, let's lay here for a moment. It was like,
The boys had only been here for like, they came in April and our anniversary was in August and we were just like exhausted.
exhausted.
Yeah.
So that's when she said, yeah, I want you guys to adopt
Wow.
Yeah.
this one too.
And this is the first girl she ever had out of 4 kids. So
So y'all have 2 of the 4.
yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
She's raising the third and she's doing really well at the
Yeah.
moment.
And then
That's good.
The oldest is with a
Yes.
another- okay.
Yeah.
So if I can jump back a bit, because we talked about the
I know, this is kind of
oldest,
confusing.
yeah, and
Okay,
then
so-
to the youngest. Can you
Yes.
work from the beginning all the way to the last, and also tell us genders?
Okay.
'Cause
So
the
here,
names-
do you want just age order or when they came in the family? That's probably what gets a little
Ooh.
Because
confusing.
that's different.
I'll go when we came in the family and let
Yeah.
you know ages. So Thaxton is a private adoption from birth. We were there in the room, which is awesome and unique.
And he's 12
so
now.
boy, and he's 12 now. Ashlyn is a private adoption. We were in the room. Well, no, we were at the hospital.
Yeah.
And she's 12 now.
Okay.
Then there was Larissa. The reason it's a kind of a confusing story is we started an international adoption from Congo. And through paperwork found out that some adoptions don't work out once the child comes to the States.
Which was really confusing. I was like, what does that mean?
So I was reading through the agreement and I was like, that's confusing. And so we ended up finding out about Larissa. And so she was originally adopted from Brazil to Alaska.
Through that same agency that
Oh,
we
wow.
were going through.
And she was one of 4 that was adopted. Hers was not going well. And then, so we took her in.
So when he emailed the agency and said, what does this mean on the paperwork? I thought it meant more like they can come here and like things aren't okay and legally and they have to go back.
Right,
I
right,
thought
right.
it meant like out of your control. And they were like, no, sometimes like it's called a disrupted adoption. And it's when it's like maybe not working out and they try to find another family for the child or in a residential
Who
facility.
makes the decision if it's not working out?
The family.
the family.
It's not
gotcha.
something that really should happen. But it does.
but it does happen.
And it does. So anyway, that's when she said, well, for example, there are 2 girls right now, and one of them was Larissa.
One of them was
Yeah.
Larissa. So she came and visited us and decided she wanted to stay.
Yeah.
And there's lots of details because it's super complicated. So
Yeah.
that's technically a private adoption. She came to us when she was 15.
Wow.
And then she...
That would make her the oldest then, right?
yes,
Yes.
so she's
Okay.
the oldest. She's now 23.
Yeah.
Okay.
Still lives in town. And so that's been a big journey. And then we have Shadrach and Platini. So we started this Congo adoption before Larissa. She ended up graduating, moving out because she didn't want any house rules. 18-year-old. And then how much later?
11 months later, they came home.
11 months
It was
later,
a
all of a
5-year
sudden.
process.
Yeah.
For Shadrach.
For
and
Shadrach and
Platini.
Platini, it was a 5.
And we started that adoption where I was like, I want a baby girl. One.
One baby girl turned into Shadrach and Platini.
turned into 2 boys.
And
Yeah, right.
Larissa, technically.
Which worked out way better because they're hilarious.
So
Yeah.
how
So-
old were Shadrach and Platini when they finally came to your house?
They
5 and
were
7.
5 and 7.
Okay. Wow.
Shadrach was the size of a toddler.
Yeah, we
We
had.
took out their clothes the other day. I was like, Shadrach, you fit this
he was
at
the
5
size
years
of
old.
like a 3-year-old.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
He's very tiny.
Teeny.
So
Yeah.
now they're 9 and 11. So they're from Kinshasa, which is the capital of DR Congo. So even though they're from Africa, they're from Kinshasa's like a 10 million person city.
Yeah, they were city
So I
boys.
mean, it's yeah.
Okay. They like wouldn't go near our woods. They're like, we don't know what's in there.
Yeah, they didn't,
It's like, what is the deal?
yeah,
I can relate.
yeah.
They were like city boys.
So they came from Congo, and there's lots of details. They're an international adoption through an agency, and there's lots of international adoptions. Very complicated, especially when your agency in country gets shut down. Then it gets really complicated.
What made y'all want to adopt out into another country?
Oh, we were reading the book
Radical.
because I wanted to add too. I felt like Ashton and Thaxton, our first adoptions, were very much like answered prayer to like God giving us children.
Yeah.
And that's kind of really what it was at that point. It wasn't anything like, oh, God's calling us to something different. It was more like, oh my gosh, we're finally parents, you know? And then in between all of this, I actually like stepped into a fully surrendered relationship with Christ, and everything started to change like drastically. And we started, I think first we read the book Crazy Love by Francis Chan, because all of a sudden like my eyes were being open and like, what? Like we're like applying this stuff is like, you know, my eyes were just opened. And then we read Radical by David Platt. And I think we actually listened to it together or something. Yeah. And he brought up about just, I think he did.
Yeah, he did a international adoption.
Yeah.
From somewhere near Russia.
Yeah. And he said it was very different to even like to have a category and to go into where his son was at the time and see it with his own eyes was like, I don't know. It was something that shifted in him. Like, I guess just the reality of, you know, all these kids that like have nothing, no family, and that we can do something about it, you know? And it really, really like affected us and like, hey, we can, maybe this is something that we should pursue, you know? And he's like, sure. And so
yeah, at the point we had 2 kids.
Yeah.
So we started looking at international adoption, kind of committed to it super fast.
Yeah. When I was like, look, it says that only 18 months is the timeline.
5 years later.
5 years later.
Especially with a country that is run by a president who's actually a dictator. And,
Yeah.
I mean, there's just lots of stuff.
And it
that
was
gets
like
hard.
a wild experience when they came home.
Yeah.
And we never visited them there because like our agency didn't require you to. Like the ones that do, it's a good thing.
So how did you guys keep in touch with them?
We would send them gifts. We sent them like a picture book.
Yeah. We didn't do a lot of communicating, partially because our agency shut down. They were running that one. There was a Congolese man who lives in the States who is going over to check and see, and he rehired a whole different staff. He's the one who like helped us finish the adoption. Wow.
Yeah, it was taking so
great.
long that because we were going, they stopped letting children out of the country because of trafficking and stuff. And we were like, you know, I don't know if we go visit them and like, hey, we're gonna be your parents, and then what if we can never come back and get them?
Right.
You know, and we were like, really didn't know what to do about it. And then things with Larissa were really difficult at home, and it was like trying to find a way to get to Congo to do that. I mean, we were like, and time just like, you know, kind of got away. So anyway, Judson was going to go travel at one point when we were getting pretty into it. And we're like, maybe you should go and just, you know, meet them and everything. And I think that was around the time that some stuff happened in Paris with like terrorism.
Oh,
And
yeah,
the guy
there
that
was
we
a
were
bombing
in
in
contact
Paris.
with, he said, we really shouldn't travel right now.
Okay.
And then I want to say it was a couple months after that he goes, I think things are going to happen soon. So I'm going to go to Congo and I'm going to bring your boys home.
Wow.
And,
That's a good agent.
well,
Yeah,
he was just
well,
not even an agent. He
No,
was just a contact.
He's a
Wow.
Catholic.
Really?
He's a
Yeah,
priest.
he's a Catholic
Oh my
priest
gosh.
Yeah.
for armed forces.
And he
He's-
took over the
his
orphanage,
family
kind of.
still, some of his family still lives there. He keeps an eye on some of the
Yeah.
kids still who never got adopted. I mean, he's an incredible guy.
And he went and because we were like, well, why are we going to go too and pay all this extra? Like, he knows what he's doing. He speaks the language. He understands the culture. Like, let's just meet them the first time in the airport. Because
So
we
we
thought,
drove
well,
up to DC, and all of a sudden, These two tiny little kids
Yeah.
just come around the corner.
I mean, I was so nervous. I literally felt like I was going to pass out.
Now, but they're not related to each other.
No,
No.
Okay,
no.
okay.
But Platini knew Shadrach was coming with him, and so he
oh yeah.
took him under his wing. So,
That's amazing.
so
That's
they
a
were
big brother role.
Yeah, they were
Yes.
already
I mean,
brothers.
They shared a bed. They have so many stories from Kinshasa.
They acted like brothers always.
oh yeah.
I thought they were brothers.
Yeah.
That's
So-
pretty
Yeah.
cool.
I have to ask the question.
Okay.
So, for those who are listening, you may not realize this, but the Lees are Caucasian Americans, and they just adopted 2 kids.
Wait, what?
I love it.
We just figured this out. We're discovering things on today's episode of Beauty and Beard. So, and you all just adopted 2 children from Africa.
Yes.
How is that dynamic in the household, out and about, and in the community and stuff like that? Like,
I think one of the interesting things. So, Thaxton. So his birth mom's white and his birth father is black.
okay,
And I'd say kind of medium skin.
Yeah.
We've never met him personally. So probably where we first started being aware of things is with Thaxton. So around this area, well, let's just say when he first came out, I was like, oh, he's really pale
And blonde.
and blonde.
He still has he has like sandy hair.
So he has he actually looks a lot like his birth father with features and build and everything.
Yeah.
But he's still, super pale. And everyone, all the black ladies,
like we had a
they were
moment
like-
that we told him that he was part black, and he's like, "What?"
He literally did what I just did. He goes, "No, I'm not,"
Yeah.
because he looked at his skin
And so we're like,
he's
well,
like,
when he got older, we showed him like his birth,
Yeah.
which actually made him excited. He was like kind of piecing all the
yeah.
things
See
together.
that?
Yeah.
I see that.
Yeah.
And all the black ladies were like, "Oh, he'll darken up. He'll darken up." I'm like, he's really light.
They
I
always
mean,
say that.
yeah, he'll darken up.
Darken
and
up.
he just hasn't.
I don't know.
I mean, he's not blonde
Like, oh,
anymore,
he's 10.
and
No,
he
he's-
tans during the summer and he gets darker. But when we'd go out of town, that's when we would see really people staring. Because I think around here, people are like light skin. They just assume he's white.
yeah.
But when we go out of town, and if there's a lot more black people, black families, like black moms, especially when we walk through malls, when he was like 2, you'd see them scowling, and at first you're like, they'd notice Thaxton, then they look at me, then they look at Thaxton, then they look at Megan, then they look at Thaxton, and they just kind of, they're confused.
Right.
Because he doesn't look like us feature-wise, and they recognize he's at least part black.
Right.
So that's probably when it first came on the radar. It was like, oh, this is a different dynamic. Just not aware of it. And so it just came on the radar. And then when the boys came, they're dark black African, but they were outside all the time, almost at the equator. So when they came, I was like,
They were chocolate.
They were so dark.
so
Yeah.
chocolate.
Yeah.
And so it's been an interesting journey with them. They actually have lightened quite a bit because we're just not next to the equator.
Right.
And then during the summer, now they're very Americanized and they're like, it's too hot. Okay. That's cool. The first summer, they didn't like the bugs because where they were, they just didn't have a lot of bugs apparently.
Yeah.
And so they would put on sweatshirts with hoodies and close them tight.
My dad gave him his fishing hat with has the net over the face, and they're like
They just-
outside playing in a head net.
I mean, and they wouldn't
an umbrella.
Not a drop of sweat. I mean,
I would say, like, though, I didn't have. I feel like maybe I didn't try to understand before we brought them home, like the range of perspectives that there could be on a white couple taking in a black child. Because I just was, I mean, maybe kind of naive too, like, well, making it all about us. Like, oh,
Yeah.
it's how we feel about it and we're fine. Not really, well, how are Shadrach and Platini going to feel about it? Like, if we don't, and so then later I started like, other parents would be like, well, make sure that they have like a black male role model like in their life regularly. And I'm like, who do I find? Like all these things, or like exposing, having Platini like music that he likes. Like, okay, he likes Lecrae. I want him to like, I don't know. I felt like all of a sudden really aware, like I didn't want to rob them of something. Like, and I think that's been something that I've kind of had to let go a little bit, and feeling too paranoid that I was going to mess up something. And then I have to look at the big picture of like, well, one really good thing is that they now have 2 parents, and they have a home, and they're loved, and they're taken care of, and they are fed really well. And, so it's been a really interesting journey for me. And I noticed, too, I worry a lot when we go out, because if I see, like, I know in stuff I've read like online, and I know I just can't read some of it because I'm going, oh my word.
Abraham Lincoln said that everything on the internet is true.
It's true. Well,
he was a wise man.
And I found that on the internet, so you know that's
so
true.
you know it's true. Well, I saw like a picture one time on Instagram, and I read the comments. And it was a mixed family. The parents were white. They adopted a black little girl, and I read the comments, and like it kept me up that night. Because the things I read, I was like, I didn't know certain people felt that way. And so it just made me hyper aware. And so I would say some of the most meaningful things to me over the past few years is when somebody, a black person, has come to me or to Judson and been like, just verbally like encouraging. I'm like, oh my gosh, that means so much to me. So it's just been really like a lot of mixed feelings the more I've learned. And I think for me, when they first came here, they thought that they were going to turn white. Is
like
what,
physically turn
Yes.
white.
So it's been a journey for them. It's kind of like a lot of pendulum swings.
Yeah.
So like we didn't find out till later. Platini has been able to verbalize the rumor at the orphanage is when you come to America, you turn white.
Really?
You become like them, like the family that's adopted.
Yeah.
Okay.
And there was, I mean, lots of different rumors that were just like one boy went and came back white. And, I mean, they just had this thought.
Yeah.
So he was really, I mean, on some level, he was very disappointed. At some level, he said some odd things where like, he was very aware of Michael Jackson because Michael Jackson was super popular in Africa. And so
he definitely went from dark to light. Yeah.
And he saw that.
He definitely did.
So he's like, oh, I want that skin thing. And I was like, ooh, I don't like that.
Yeah.
But, as an adoptive parent, trying to navigate, I mean, you're learning English with them.
It did take them a long time, though.
Yeah.
Because they were, for a while, didn't. I mean, it's just like you want to, I'm sure like a lot of kids are like you already just look like your parents. So I've never personally experienced that where like, well, I kind of do. I don't look a lot like my parents, but we're the same color basically. But just that identifying with mom and dad. And so for a long time, I felt like they were kind of upset about not looking like us. And so I feel like we've really tried very purposefully over the years to be like, your skin color is beautiful and this is the way God made you. And it's amazing. And so I feel like now, like when Platini says something, I'm like, one of my goals is like that you're like a proud black man. Like you're just, and I feel like he is.
He is. Yeah. When
It's
I say
just like-
pendulum swing, he goes from like, saying like, oh, I want Michael Jackson's skin.
Yeah.
Like that it fades. And that's one extreme. But now he's on the other extreme where he's like, I'm beautiful chocolate.
Yes.
And he'll tell his teacher's Caucasian, and he'll be like, he'll have a piece of chocolate and he's like, if you put it on my skin, you won't even tell. Because he's like so chocolate. And I mean,
I love
and on one level,
already.
I'm not sure that's, and on another level, I'm like, I'm so glad that he's on one extreme. If he's going to be on an extreme.
Yeah.
So he was at basketball practice. Is it okay if I tell this one?
Yes.
He's at back to basketball practice. He was probably where the tension is for me at the moment. So his basketball team, there's Platini, who's still really dark compared to the average American black man. He's still very dark. And then there's another boy named Miles. And so he's kind of light-skinned black. And then the rest of the team is pale. You know, I mean, they're white. So he comes in, and they're going to do shirts and skins. Well, Platini comes in, and that Miles' dad, I mean, he's bigger than me, black man. And so we hadn't quite met yet. And Platini comes in, and they're playing shirts or skins. And so he lifts up his shirt. He's wearing a black shirt.
Yeah.
And he's black. So he runs into the gym. Shirts or skins, I'm black either way. Shirts or skins, I'm black either way. Okay. So,
but he's proud. It's
he's
not like
so proud.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
all of
yeah.
a sudden, all his teammates are laughing. He runs up to the coach. I mean, he is just like, they're getting it. And he's a jokester anyway. So
Yeah.
he's joking about it. He's like, and they're all laughing, having a good old time. Well, as a white dad, it's just me and Miles's dad sitting on the
Right.
side, and I immediately feel myself go. And not because it's because it was done in public and I have a black dad next to me.
Sure.
And I immediately, my thought was, I hope he's okay.
Not gonna hurt my feelings. But how does this statement make you feel? Like, and she said, honestly, it's I don't know if she made a super big deal about the statement, but she was like, when I tell people that don't know us that I'm adopted and that I have 5 siblings who are also adopted, she said people always make the comment like, wow, your parents are amazing. And she said internally she's going, well, what about me and all I've lost? To get to that point, you know, to have to be in our family.